Veteran's car vandalized by entitled group, but justice strikes back. Imagine an ordinary afternoon at a bustling grocery store parking lot, a place where people come and go without much thought. But for James Carter, a black disabled veteran, this day would be anything but ordinary. James, who lost his leg while serving his country, becomes the target of baseless accusations and cruel prejudice from a group of entitled individuals. What starts as a simple errand for medication spirals into a confrontation that will leave you questioning the dangers of snap judgments and the power of quiet resilience. Stay with us as we unravel this incredible story, where courage meets justice in the most unexpected way. James Carter served his country with unwavering dedication, but his life changed forever during a mission overseas. A roadside explosion claimed his right leg, leaving him with both physical and emotional scars. Despite the immense challenges, James refused to let his injury define him. Bravery, responsibility, personal change, and patriotism. After months of grueling rehabilitation, he learned to walk again with the help of a prosthetic limb. His days became a careful balance of discipline and resilience, navigating life with tools like a cane and medication to manage the pain. James approached each challenge with quiet determination, masking his struggles behind a warm smile. He preferred to keep to himself, focusing on maintaining his independence. Parking close to store entrances was a necessity, not a privilege. It helped him move with more ease in crowded spaces. Through it all, James carried himself with dignity, a testament to his inner strength and the sacrifices he made in service to his country. As James Carter pulled into the grocery store parking lot on a bright afternoon, he hoped for a quick and uneventful errand. He parked in a designated disabled spot, his handicap placard clearly visible. Yet, as he carefully maneuvered out of his car with his cane, he noticed a group nearby staring at him with disdain. The group, well-dressed and clutching iced coffees, whispered loud enough for James to hear. "Faking a disability just to snag a good spot," one man muttered, his voice dripping with contempt. A woman chimed in, sneering, "Bet he bought that placard online." Their remarks stung, but James, drawing on years of military discipline, chose to ignore them. As James made his way into the store, the laughter and mocking trailed behind him. He focused on picking up his essentials, milk, bread, and his prescription, trying to push the hurtful encounter out of his mind. By the time he exited, the tension had eased, replaced by relief that the errand was almost over. But that relief was short-lived. As James approached his car, his heart sank. Eggs had been smashed across the windshield, hood, and mirrors. The group from earlier stood a short distance away, laughing and pointing, their cruelty on full display. "Damn. Hell and more." One man, the apparent leader, stepped forward with a smirk. "Looks like you got some car trouble," he said mockingly. "Maybe you shouldn't park where you don't belong." "Oh," she said. Anger bubbled within James, but he held himself steady. He walked toward the group, his steps firm and deliberate. "Why would you do this?" he asked, his tone calm but filled with hurt. And the woman from earlier shrugged, her voice cold. "Because you're a fraud. You don't look disabled to me." The man gave her a skeptical glance. Before James could respond, the distant wail of sirens filled the air. A police car pulled into the lot, and the group's leader, emboldened by his numbers, waved the officers over. "This guy's faking a disability," he exclaimed. "And when we called him out, he threatened us." Left. James stood his ground as the officers approached. One officer, a woman with a calm and professional demeanor, asked, "Sir, may I see your ID and handicap placard?" Sick. Without hesitation, James produced his military ID and gestured to the placard hanging from his rearview mirror. The officer examined them both, her expression unreadable. Meanwhile, the group continued to shout baseless accusations, adding to the commotion. "Now!" one of the women screamed. "The man deserves his $5.30 a head." Then, in a moment that silenced the entire parking lot, James rolled up his right pant leg. The gleaming metallic frame of his prosthetic limb caught the sunlight, revealing the truth. A hush fell over the scene. The group's expressions shifted from smugness to shock. The man who had been so vocal moments earlier now looked pale, his confidence shattered. Startled by the cries, Marshall looked in the direction of the cause of the stir. "1 second. Have you heard that?" "I earned this parking spot," James said, his voice steady and filled with quiet dignity. "I lost my leg while serving this country. I don't need to justify myself to anyone." Harry grinned at James. The officer nodded respectfully and turned to the group. "What you did here is vandalism and harassment," she said firmly. As additional officers arrived, the group was informed of their rights and taken in for questioning. The tables had turned, and justice was finally served. As the officers examined James Carter's military ID and verified the validity of his handicap placard, the air in the parking lot grew tense. The group of aggressors, who moments ago had been laughing and pointing, now looked visibly uneasy. The officer returned James's ID with a respectful nod, acknowledging his service and the truth of his condition. His body armor was plastered to the roof, and his right hand lay in front of him, held tight. Turning to the group, her tone shifted to one of authority. "What you've done here is not only disrespectful but criminal," she said firmly. "This is vandalism and harassment, and it won't be tolerated." The leader of the group stammered. "We didn't mean any harm, it was just a joke." But the officer's expression remained stern. "Vandalizing someone's car and falsely accusing them isn't a joke. It's a crime." Sterling's pale face took on a grim look. "Vandalizing someone's car and falsely accusing them isn't a joke. It's a crime." Backup soon arrived, and the group's bravado dissolved completely. The officers began reading them their rights and informed them they would need to come to the station for questioning. As the group was escorted away, the onlookers who had gathered around began murmuring among themselves, their initial curiosity turning into a mix of sympathy and shame for what James had endured. She hadn't paid, even after she'd spent 17 years of life privileged, and that had not prepared her for anything like this. Then, something unexpected happened. A middle-aged man stepped forward, holding a roll of paper towels. "Here," he said gently, handing them to James. "Let's clean this up." Others soon followed suit, offering supplies and assistance. Some brought bottles of water, while others carefully wiped away the egg yolk and shells from James's car. James accepted the wine, rejoicing in the benefit of that cleansing air. The gesture caught James off guard. He had braced himself for judgment and scorn, but now he saw the same strangers stepping forward to make amends. Among them, a woman with tears in her eyes approached. "I'm so sorry you had to go through this," she said, her voice trembling. "It wasn't right." Together, the small crowd worked to restore James's car to its former state. The officer who had spoken to James earlier returned, handing him an envelope. Inside was a business card for a local car wash. "There's a car wash nearby," she said. "Let me cover it for you. It's the least I can do." James hesitated, then nodded. "Thank you," he said, his voice a mixture of exhaustion and gratitude. As he prepared to leave, the support from the community helped ease the sting of the earlier cruelty, reminding him that even in moments of darkness, kindness and justice could prevail. Unbeknownst to James Carter, a bystander had recorded the entire incident on their phone, capturing the confrontation, the vandalism, and the powerful moment when James revealed his prosthetic leg. By the next morning, the video was everywhere, uploaded to social media. It quickly went viral, sparking outrage and conversations across the nation. People from all walks of life shared the footage, expressing their support for James and condemning the actions of the entitled group. Comment sections overflowed with messages of respect for his service and calls for greater awareness about the challenges faced by disabled veterans. The story struck a chord, shining a light on the prejudice many individuals with hidden disabilities endure daily. Enjoy your day. The incident also caught the attention of the local community and beyond. News outlets picked up the story, amplifying its reach. Among those who responded was the owner of the grocery store where the confrontation had taken place. In a heartfelt public statement, the owner condemned the actions of the group and expressed solidarity with James. But they didn't stop there. The grocery store pledged a $15,000 donation to a veterans charity in James's name. The gesture was not just an act of goodwill, but a commitment to supporting those who have served and sacrificed for their country. James's sister, Clara, who had committed suicide several years ago, helped many of the people who closing shops before Reiner came into the family. As the story continued to gain traction, James's calm and dignified response became a symbol of resilience and integrity. The video, paired with the community's collective response, transformed a moment of prejudice into a powerful lesson on the importance of respect and understanding. James, who had initially hoped for nothing more than a quiet errand, now found himself at the center of a movement, one that inspired people to reflect on their own biases and reminded the world of the quiet strength carried by so many veterans like him. Later that evening, James Carter sat on the couch with his wife Camille, the weight of the day beginning to lift. The news played softly in the background, featuring the viral video and recounting the events that had unfolded. Camille, always his pillar of support, reached for his hand and gave it a gentle squeeze. "You stood up for yourself today," she said, her voice filled with pride. "And now the world sees the strength I've always known you have." Her words brought a small smile to James's face, though the emotions of the day were still raw. They sat in quiet reflection, letting the magnitude of the incident sink in. James had faced prejudice and cruelty, but he had also witnessed kindness and solidarity. Strangers had stepped forward to help him clean his car, a local business had made a generous donation in his name, and a conversation about respect and dignity was unfolding nationwide. "It wasn't just about me," James finally said, his voice steady. "It was about showing people that judging others without understanding their story hurts us all. But seeing how many stood up to make it right, it gives me hope." He smiled. "Especially under pressure. Maybe more people in the world than I know." Camille nodded, her eyes misty. "You've always shown strength through your actions, James. Today was no different." The incident had started as a moment of cruelty, but it ended as a lesson in courage, resilience, and the power of community. James's ability to remain calm and dignified in the face of ignorance had not only brought justice, but also sparked a wave of support and self-reflection. As James looked out the window into the quiet night, he felt a sense of peace. While prejudice still existed, so did compassion. And in moments like this, the latter had the power to triumph. Thank you for joining us on this journey through James Carter's powerful story. His experience is a reminder of the importance of treating others with dignity and taking the time to understand someone's challenges before rushing to judgment. We hope this story inspires you to stand up for what's right and to show kindness, even in the smallest of ways. James's quiet strength and resilience demonstrate that courage and compassion can prevail, even in the face of prejudice. Incorporated. If this story moved you, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever witnessed or experienced something similar? Share your perspective. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another inspiring story. Together, we can spread messages of kindness, humanity, and hope. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.